Welcome back to the Finance Underground. Today we are going to shed more light on the secrets of finance. Now, today we're going to talk about a money plan that we use in our family. It's roughly based off of the Dave Ramsey's Baby Steps. If you haven't read Dave Ramsey's book, The Total Money Makeover, I would recommend going to and getting that book. I'll put a link in the description below if you'd like to purchase a copy, or most libraries that I've found have a copy of that either through an ebook or the physical print copy. So stop at your local library. They very likely have a copy of that. The concept of the money plan that we're going to talk about, and this is what we use in our family, is I like to refer to it as buckets. So we have a bucket number one, which is a planning bucket. I call it the planning bucket, but it's planning, and it also is the collection and the distribution point for your money. And I'm going to run through these pretty quickly just to give you an overview of how this works. So the planning bucket, all of your money comes into this bucket. And at that point, you make a plan for where it's going to go. And then from that bucket, you distribute it according to the plan, right? And in this bucket, you have your life plan, where you ultimately want to end up with your money. You have an annual plan. So you look at your money as a year to make sure that the big expenses don't come up and catch you unprepared. You know, car insurance, house, taxes, insurance, things like that are either like every 6 months or every year, and you're going to hit $1,000 or $2,000 in 1 month. You need to save money throughout the year for those expenses. That's your annual plan. And I'll do a video for each one of these different buckets to explain them better. So you have your annual plan, and then you have a monthly plan, which is your household budget for the month. So you have a predetermined amount of money that you're going to live off of, so the rest of your money can go through and help you meet your financial goals. And so that's bucket number one. It physically, the money lives in a checking account. You have checking account number one, bucket number one, the planning bucket. When you have all the money in here, you have a plan, it starts to flow, and it's basically a bucket that's kind of tipped on its side. When it gets full, it flows over. And bucket number one, because it's the distribution bucket, you tip it over and the money comes out. It goes into bucket number two. Bucket number two is $1,000. $1,000, it's a mini emergency fund. It's your buffer against life. And this physically lives in a savings account that's tied to your checking account number one. So it's savings account number one. It's something that's easy to get to, that you can use, but it's an emergency fund. You do not use it unless you have an emergency. So the money flows from number one to number two, which is the mini emergency fund, $1,000, to bucket number three, which is we're going to get out of debt, or we're going to be going through school. If you're a college age, this bucket number three is to get you through college. We want to get through college debt free. We want to become educated and useful in the workforce where you are in demand. So you have an income that will help you live and build wealth long term. So that's step number three, or bucket number three, is you're gonna get educated, or you're gonna kill your debt. If you're out of school, you're working a job, and you have debt, kill it. And bucket number two, number three, number four, number five, those are buckets you're going to bust through as fast as possible. This is focus time. This is like no vacations, no extra spending. You're going to tighten the budget a little bit and just bust through these as quickly as possible, so then you can reach your goals long term. So bucket number one is the planning and collection bucket. Bucket number two is $1,000. Bucket number three is to kill debt or become educated. Bucket number four then is to build a full emergency fund. I shoot for 6 months of expenses. What it cost you to live? If you didn't have money coming in, what would it cost you to live for 6 months? This physically sits, 5 months of this money sits in a money market account or a high yield savings account. And then 1 month of this is in your checking account. Number one, it's a month buffer on your budget. And we'll talk about that in a later video. I learned about the 1 month buffer from Jesse over at YNAB or youneedabudget.com. So bucket number 5 is to begin investing 15 to 20% of your income into retirement accounts, tax advantage retirement accounts. This is going to be in a 401k. If your employer offers a 401k or something similar to that, a 401k, if they match that money, you want to go in the 401k, you want to take the full match. And then you need to move into an IRA, a Roth IRA preferably. And then, so we have these buckets. When one gets full, say we have the distribution bucket, it goes into the $1,000 bucket, bucket number 2, $1,000, it's your buffer to life. When the $1,000 gets full, then it flows over to the next one, which is to kill all your debt. When you get all your debt killed, then that flows over to your next one, which is to fill up your emergency fund. When the emergency fund is full of 6 months of expenses, then it flows over to the next one, which is 15 to 20% in your savings account. When that one's full, it flows over into the next bucket, bucket number 6, which is another distribution or collection and distribution bucket. So it comes into this bucket, and at that point, you start to distribute it according to your life's goals. Are you paying for your children's college? Are you paying off your house early? Are you buying a house? Are you trying to build wealth? Do you need a car? Are you remodeling? Those are things depending on the goals that you currently have. So if the money comes from bucket number 1 and hits bucket number 2, $1,000, your brakes go out and you have $600 and you don't have the cash to cover that, that's like popping a hole in that bucket and the money's going to leak out. So the money's going to come down. What you do is you fix that hole, you fix the car. So now you're down $600. The money flows into this and you fill that back up before it begins to flow down the cycle again. So that's a rough overview of the financial plan that we use. Like I say, based roughly on Dave Ramsey's baby steps, but we've adjusted it a little bit to meet our needs and kind of a goal-based financial plan, our life plan at the bottom there, bucket number 6. So as I mentioned, I will make a video for each one of these different buckets. I'll explain them in more detail. If you have any questions about the different buckets and the flow of your money, let me know. I'll go through how it actually works. What checking accounts you're using, what savings accounts, money markets, the retirement accounts, where those sit, how to access them, how to use them. So make sure that you subscribe and ring the little bell so you get notifications when the other videos come out. Remember that your money is making somebody rich. Let's make sure that it's you. Till next time.